And welcome back to the Manager's Seat, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Today we've got another deep dive into a nook and cranny of Football Manager that we love here. Last week we've had two very good videos from the boys you can catch here with Llama and Stinger. And now it's my turn, and we're going to do possession. We're going to look at the beautiful side of the game, the passing, how to understand possession, how it works on a football pitch, how it works in-game, and we're going to create the perfect possession-based tactic together. So let's jump on into it. Now, when it comes to building Football Manager tactics, we're all at different levels, and I'm not claiming to be the expert here. We're going to learn this together and show you the process of how we do things in terms of building tactics. So by the end of this video, we're all going to be able to master possession in Football Manager. We're going to start off at the basics, understanding what is possession, the principles of it, and the technical components you need on that pitch to dominate the game. That sounds deep, I know, but it's easy, trust me. We'll go through it step by step. Then we're going to jump into the vanilla plug-and-play tactics within Football Manager, just to see how good they are at keeping the ball. Spoiler here, they're not that bad. And then we're going to jump into the main crux of the video, how we build that possession tactic, looking at the player instructions, how we set up the team, and really taking that theory of what possession is and putting it into practice. So kick back, relax, grab that cup of tea, and enjoy hopefully an educational journey through possession. Now, Johan Cruyff famously said the possession for itself is worthless if you don't know what to do with the ball later. Possession creates spaces, but understanding space creates purpose. Very poignant. Basically saying that you get the ball, it doesn't really stop there. You've got to do something with it. And that's what we're going to do today. Now, with any tactic you build in Football Manager, this is a good route into building it. You need to understand what you want to do. It's basically getting it from your brain onto that pitch. And I suggest the next stage, the principles of building a tactic, you all do. You work out how you want your team to play. So for example, for possession football, there are two principles. Now, we've got in possession and out of possession. Admittedly, there's a lovely grey area in between called in transition. And Football Manager helps us along the way. For example, when you're building that tactic, it's all down here in the team instructions. In possession, in transition, and out of possession. So this should hopefully link in nicely. Now, in terms of in possession, the principles of dominating a football game and playing tiki-taka, nice, slow, gentle passing, is a structured formation on the pitch. Each player knows their roles, they know where to be in the pitch, and more importantly, they know where their teammates are, which links into nicely to position, shape, and space, arguably the most important part of a possession-based tactic. The position of those players are key. If players are isolated, if players are outnumbered, they're going to lose the ball. Every time there's a pass on, you should have 2, maybe 3 options at your disposal to keep hold of the ball. And that links into the shape of the formation, which is key. If you're going to play a 4-2-4, all out attacking, it's not going to suit the possession-based football. And the space between those players is also key. If you are spread out too far, those long balls across the pitch are going to get cut out. It's all about that formation and where the players are actually going to be. And the final principle for in possession is progress and penetrate. We've got the ball, as Johan Cruyff said, we've now got to do something with it. And it's been decisive, it's moving forward. And for me, especially in Football Manager, is making sure that the right players on the pitch are actually getting the ball, which we'll look at in more detail shortly. Okay, you still with me? That's the in possession, now the out of possession a little bit. So you've lost the ball and the opponents have it. To get the most possession, you need to get the ball back as soon as possible. Now, this is where the tactical style maybe mixes in with gegenpress and the tiki-taka style. You're thinking your Jurgen Klopps, you're thinking your Guardiolas. It's a similar principle to the ones that they adopt. So out of possession, we're going to press. We're going to get right up in front of the opposition and get the ball back as soon as possible. And there's some lovely analytics within Football Manager this year which allow us to monitor that, which again I'll jump into shortly. The second stage is delay, deny, and dictate. This is not a wartime mantra. This is just something we can do on the pitch. So we're going to delay them pressing forward. We're going to slow them down so they're not going to beat us on the counter-attack. We're going to deny them space and opportunity to pass into, and we're going to dictate what they do with the ball, cutting off the channels, cutting off the lines of passing to make sure they are smothered. And the final one, if they do get into our final third, we're going to protect. We're going to put our boys in positions at the back to make sure they can't get many opportunities. So they're the base principles of setting up a possession-based tactic. Now, the next stage you can look at are the technical attributes you need your players to have in order to play that style. And they are broken down into attacking and defending, which links into in possession and out of possession, obviously. For a possession-based team, when you're going forward attacking, we want high passing, high composure, high technique, high vision, and lots of good movement stroke off the ball. And then when we're defending, we need to be very good at intercepting. Again, we can monitor that through an analytic in the game. We're going to be pressing, good marking, very good off the ball, and very essential, a high work rate. In theory, what we're doing is creating a DNA. We're looking at the way we want to play, and then we're looking at the team and the players we have, and we'll match them against it. If you aren't interested in football DNA, check out the video from Llama right here. Brilliant. You can create your own DNA for a football club and then maybe tie it into your own tactic. Okay, so we've got our theory in place. We know the technical components, we know the principles, and we know that we want to play possession-based football. So that's almost where we start to come into the tactic here. Before we jump into any tactics, we're going to do a bit more theory. Apologies. It's the last bit. Now, if you look at the top teams in each of the world leagues, you will notice there is a correlation to the ones who are performing well and the amount of possession they get on that football pitch. Possession gets results. Take a look at the Premier League. We can see the clubs are set in order of where they are in position. Arsenal first, Man City second, Newcastle third. The majority of those clubs up there dominate the game. Man City 66.6. You have got Newcastle and Spurs who are just under the 50%, aren't doing a great deal of possession. But when you look at Brighton, for example, a team who are playing fantastic football and arguably the one club who are punching well above their weight, you can see the importance of possession for that team. And focusing more on the Premier League, we can see the team style comparison, how teams play. At the bottom right, we've got slow and intricate passing, and at the top left, we've got fast and direct, the long ball, hoof ball. West Ham are up there, Crystal Palace are up there, and Aston Villa are up there. We look further down, the likes of Man City, they dominate this slow and intricate passing. Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool are also in the mix, and you can see that Brighton and Southampton as well are very deliberate in what they do. So it's quite clear to see that if you've got the ball on that pitch, if you're getting 65-70% possession, it's more than likely the results are going to benefit from that. So hopefully you're still on board. I'm kind of clinging on to it. I'm almost there. It makes sense so far though. Let me know, comment down below. Is there anything I missed out in terms of possession that you would have added so far? So as I mentioned before, Football Manager has got his preset tactics, his vanilla, his plug and play, whatever you want to call them, and some of them are half decent. So let's take a look at the most relevant for possession-based football. Now, if you've never done this before, you want to come up to the Tactics tab, come over here to the drop down, click on presets, and it brings up all the options. But to go into a little more detail, I would suggest clearing the slot, coming up to the plus button and creating a new tactic. Then you get these options here, and the thumbs up here, they indicate which ones are better suited to the plays you currently have at your club. Now, the top four, these are the ones that are more relevant to controlling the ball. We've got vertical tiki-taka, which says dominate possession, but what you will find is this is a lot faster paced than what we're looking for to dominate the game. Tiki-taka, very, very similar. It's just this is going a bit more forward than going back. Gegenpress is incredibly high intensity, which we're not going to do. So control possession is the area which is the best for us, and the words that jump out like patient, short passing, build-up play. It's exactly what we're looking for to dominate and smother the game. So if you click on choose a formation, Football Manager suggests that these are the three formations that are better suited to dominating and controlling possession. And once again, the thumbs up is the one more suited to the team you currently have. So for example, we've got a good advanced playmaker and we maybe don't have a decent halfback. So first job, let's see how these three tactics do in game and how they perform. And the results are in, and in front of us we can see how the three vanilla plug and play tactics have done. So starting to the left, the 4-2-3-1, 68% possession, 90% passes completed of 813 is the best out of the three. I think the lack of number of passes to the one on the right, the 3-4-3 down to 6-9-6, kind of spoils it, especially with 86% passes completed. Not great. And then the central one, which is definitely the best formation for keeping the ball, 90% passes completed, just 7-3-3 and a possession of 64, but they got spanked 3-0. So the one thing I would say, none of these are perfect. The XG is below 1 for the 3 games, and possession of 68% is great. Don't get me wrong, if you're getting 68% possession throughout the game, it's very high indeed, but I think we can get quite a bit higher with some tweaks. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to start off with one of those base tactics. We're going to go into the theory and put into practice right now. So before we start building the tactics, the download link to it is going to be in the Discord of the manager seat. I'm not going to give you everything. There are some set piece instructions. There's some individual play instructions all tied into this tactic that you can download and plug and play if you like over on our Discord. But what I suggest doing is taking some of these theories and putting them into practice with your own tactic just to see if it works. So let's jump into the base tactic. And that is going to be the 4-3-3 with a defensive midfielder. It's got a much better shape for keeping the ball, but we're going to change a hell of a lot. So once again, we're going to come over here to the team instructions, and this is going to align to our principles we mentioned earlier. Now, mentality, positive, is the best one for keeping the ball. Once again, Football Manager is great at telling you what to do. Just reading the passage. To the right there, it will tell you all about patiently probing the final third, risk-free situations, sitting back a bit, which is what you want to do to keep the ball. If you're going to attack in, it's a lot faster paced. Balance would work quite well, but sometimes it can be a little bit too cautious. So we're going to go with positive as a mentality. Now in possession, if you remember, our principles were structure, position, shape and space, and progress and penetrate. So the things we're going to add in here, attacking width is narrow. And the reason we're doing it narrow is because we're going to play very short passes. We want these close to each other to have those options, which makes sense for that. We might drop to very narrow, but for now it's just fairly. The next part, I'm going to pinch off RDF, who was a guest on the channel just last week, video in the top corner if you want to catch that out. He suggested that if we do time wasting to sometimes, it's not that we're going to go in the corner flag and waste 2 to 3 minutes on the ball, it's more so the players are going to take a little bit longer to make the right decision, and this is perfect when it comes to possession-based tactics. So we're going to jump in for that one. We're going to keep this as play out of defense because that's what we want to do. Work the ball into the box shoots very well. And as we come down here, this is going to be the part for the structure. We're going to ask the boys to be a lot more disciplined. I do not want individuals taking on 4 players and smashing into the top corner. Would be nice, don't get me wrong, but I want them to work as a team, which as you can see in that paragraph below, it does say that we get a stronger collective group. And the final one we're choosing is dribble less. I want the boys to pass the ball and to move as opposed to dribbling and getting isolated on their own, and that links into the position, shape and space on that pitch. So there is our in possession principles in practice. Let's go into the in transition part. Now if you don't know what in transition is literally that moment between in possession and out of possession, and it tells you up here. So when possession has been lost, we want to counter press, because out of possession we want to press them to get the ball back as soon as possible. However, when we've won the ball back, we're going to hold our shape, which links into the structure and positional shape of our team. And to maintain that structure, we're going to ask the goalkeeper to slow the pace down. Now the next section, you've almost got a little bit of grace to do with as you feel fit here. So for example, your goalkeeper, you need to look at their strengths. We're either going to go for take short kicks or roll it out. So for example, our goalkeeper, I would suggest you come in here to check his throw-in and his passing stats. Luckily, he's crap at both. He's got 8 and 8, but if you had a 20 in passing and a 1 in throwing, it would dictate which of these options you're going to choose. So for us, we're just going to go roll it out to not just the centre backs. I would suggest you always choose at least 2 options here, which will aid the goalkeeper in their decision-making ability. Rather than saying only pass the centre backs, it's too restricting. Either do fullbacks, or if you are going to play a halfback, a playmaker works very nicely indeed, but that doesn't allow you another option. For example, we can choose 2 here. So that is in transition. When we move to out of possession, it's very much a pressing mentality. We're going to leave the high press as it is for now, trigger this a lot higher and ask the boys to get stuck in. This is very typical with most tactics in Football Manager, and it does suit the possession-based mentality. So with that in place, that is the team instructions we've created for this formation. Let's sim a game to see how this has changed those initial stats. And the results are in, and compared to the previous game where we played the 4-3-3 and we got battered 3-0 and 64% possession, this time we've gone with a 2-1 victory with 73% possession of the ball, and we've gone up to 840 passes, an extra 100 passes above the previous one with the tactic just down below there, and we completed 91% of them. So we are improving an awful lot, and XG has gone up to 1.21. So you can see already the importance of looking at the team instructions to actually put them as a unit, what you want them to do for keeping the ball and making lots of passes. But that's like just the start of it. Now we go look at those individuals. Okay, you'd be glad to know that I've done a lot of work behind the scenes. Literally, like, I've set up about 20 different possession tactics all the way through, tweaking, keeping the good stuff and removing the bad stuff. And you'd be happy to see down the bottom, we've got the final possession tactic, which is bloody brilliant. We're going to put a download over to the Manager Seat Discord down below, pop one over there, download it. We've got the set pieces added in, which work very well in this tactic. The roles have all changed to the ideal positions for this 4-3-3, and that midfield trio, oh my word, it works perfectly. Now let's take a look at the results before the tactic. And with those changes, the game is over, and this is how we've done. 2-0 up against Perugia, a very good victory. 1.1 XG, oh, not great, but possession, Jesus Christ, 77% of the ball across the 90 minutes, and we're almost tipping over the 1,000 passes, which is incredible. They've just had 289 and 74%. We are nullifying their chances 100%. Now, throughout all these tactics I've created, I've gone into the analytical side of things to see how the team is performing. So the two areas I look at are the analytical data here and the heat map. I want this to be very symmetrical. Lots of triangles for shape and space. Again, we're going back to our principles of a structured formation, and these three boys in the middle are key to that. Position, shape and space. There's triangles everywhere. Each one of these boys will have options to pass to 2 or 3 people to keep the ball and progress and penetrate. We're coming forward through these 3 boys up top, and we're getting goals. The next area to look at are player statistics, to come into greater detail to see how the boys are doing. And you can come up here to general information, goalkeeping, defending, attacking, set pieces, etc. We're just going to go to general for now. And this is kind of the key area we're looking at. Passes, key passes, clear chances created, and the numbers here to see how many passes the boys are getting. It's just what I want. So the central midfielders, especially the halfback, which we're little sneak preview there, we got a halfback, 174 passes and 98% of those have been completed is incredible. That is the heartbeat, the tick and talk of the club at the moment. It's the metronome in the middle of the park, spreading the ball around, keeping it simple, very, very reliable. And throughout my testing, I found a lot of the key passes were down here at the back. My wing backs were getting in positions where they're crossing the ball, they're trying to be creative, and they're not creative players. That's now shifted up to our 2 wide boys. They're the ones who are in the areas making the passes. And look at these boys up top, 100% and 100%. They didn't lose the ball once. And that's incredibly impressive with Kelvin Yeboah, who had 3 key passes and 100% were made. Again, a nice way to monitor how the boys are doing. But there's another way, and this one's probably even better. So I'm using the Tato skin, which in my opinion is the best one out there. And if you come into here after the game, you can do this in the data hub, and we're going to do a video on that very shortly on the channel. But after the game, you almost want immediate feedback. So click on stats and it will bring you up lots of options. And I've added quite a few in here relevant to the possession-based tactic. You come down here, we can see the passes completed with 978, and it breaks down defense, midfield, attack, what their own percentages are, which is helpful, but it's not the best stat to help you understand how the game went. The best ones come down here. So ball share is your share of the ball, obviously 75%. You'll always find this is ever so slightly lower than the possession in total. Progressive passes. Now this goes back to our principle of progress and penetrate. Progressive passes are coming forward, and we've got 67, which is really high, to be fair. Across a 90-minute match, considering we're being very patient and structured, that's a very decent number indeed. High intensity sprints, I'm not expecting that to be low. It's not the style of play we're playing. When we're pressing and defending, that's where the majority of those will come from. And that links into OPPDA. Comments down below if you know what that stands for. If you don't, it's opposition passes per defensive action. Now that basically means that when Perugia got a goal kick, or they're starting off a throwback at the defensive line, they're getting 2.8 passes in that team before we get the ball back off them, which is bloody brilliant. If you look at ours, we are getting 8.48 before they're getting the ball back. It's a really nice indicator to show how you're dominating possession on that football pitch. And one thing I would add as well, this is a very even game right here. So Perugia and Genoa are level pegging. It's a neutral venue, but this style of formation and tactic is suited perfectly for the underdog. If you're not that good and you're coming up against a team better than you, the longer you have the ball for, the less damage they can do against you. I would suggest that you go back to your technical components, where we looked at the attacking and the defending mentalities and the best skills we need from our players, so the boys on the pitch can actually do it. You might be a weaker team, but it doesn't mean you're necessarily bad at passing. But try it out. Hopefully it'll work for you. So there we have it. I think that I've created the perfect possession tactic. It can be improved, don't get me wrong. You guys will probably know more about it than I do. Comment down below if there's anything I missed, please. I'd love to know. Only taking a tactic from 63% to 77% possession, an extra 150 passes. We're dominating, we're winning games, and on the pitch it is beautiful to watch, trust me. Try it out, let me know. Any of the fastest within you, try those out. And more importantly, let us know down below. We've done possession-based tactics. What other variety would you like us to look at next? Always try our best. We'll go away, we'll do the proper research, pull it all together in a package like this that hopefully is accessible for you. And like I said throughout, the whole point of this video is just to put something together that you can pick one thing from to improve your skill set for the game. And if that is something you enjoy, this video coming up next is another one where you deep dive into the analytics and you love it. Take care.